Take slow, full breaths and allow this instant to settle inside you. What follows matters. This meeting is not random. These words did not arrive by luck or timing. You were guided here with intent. What you carry has been seen. The weight on your thoughts, the pressure on your chest, the strain that keeps pulling at your strength has not been missed. This is real. It is not exaggeration, not routine tiredness, not weakness. It is an inner struggle that reaches deeper than the surface. While life expects you to move, perform, smile, and stay useful, something inside you has been calling out. That call was heard. The ways you tried to mute it with busy days, habits, repeated phrases of belief, and constant effort were seen clearly. The surface does not hide the truth. You have endured far more than you admit, and even without clear awareness, you have been standing inside a conflict meant to dull your core, blur who you are, and freeze what you are meant to do. This pressure did not begin today, but it has grown stronger and closer. There is a tightening around you that cannot be touched or named easily, yet it presses on you each day through heavy thoughts, worn emotions, a sense of being left alone, and mental noise that drains clarity. The world feels thicker, quieter moments feel louder, bonds feel weaker, and your inner space feels crowded and tense. This weight has meaning. It signals something real at work beneath the surface. You have felt uneasy without clear cause. You keep your face steady so others stay calm. You repeat strong words learned over years, yet something within feels dimmer. What you feel no longer fits simple labels. It blends into one dull ache that resists explanation. The reason is clear. There is something valuable within you that draws resistance. The strain has grown because what you carry matters, and forces that oppose growth push hardest when purpose is near. This is why the ache that once felt small turned into something you could not carry. This is why doubt slowly pushed hope aside. There is something within you that unsettles darkness. There is something in you that stands against what is meant to break you. A seed with direction was placed inside you, and the goal has been to crush it before it ever grows. Discouragement was used to quiet you, weariness was used to pull you away, and emotional scars were used to make you turn against yourself. Still, you were never fighting alone. You never stood by yourself. When you believed no one noticed you, presence remained. When words failed and prayer felt impossible, protection stayed with you. When quitting crossed your mind, the strength that held you up did not come from chance or willpower. It came from a source beyond you. Sleepless nights were seen. The forced smiles hiding inner collapse were seen. The quiet "I'm fine" spoken while everything inside fell apart was seen. Your silence was not avoidance. It was knowing the pain ran deeper than words could reach. You tried to move on as if it did not hurt. But it did, and it still does. That is why this moment exists. What you endured was noticed, understood, and never ignored. Care has already been present, and action is already in motion. Before anything around you shifts, you must remember what remains within you. You are not defined by your feelings. You are not limited by your past. You are not the voice telling you that the end has arrived. You belong to something greater. Life was placed in you with intent. What was given to you has not been erased by hardship. Pain touched you, but it did not conquer you. Weariness slowed you, but it did not leave you alone. Silence covered you, but your suffering was known beyond this world. Understanding may feel distant, but it is not absent. Do not dismiss this moment. Do not treat as small what is trying to drain the core of who you are. These words reached you as an answer to cries you could not shape into clear prayers. It is a call to wake up, because when what you feel is ignored, distraction becomes an open door. That opening is used to weaken focus and drain strength. You are pushed to believe this is only a season, a mood, a passing shift. That idea keeps you passive. What is happening goes deeper than emotion. It requires inner awareness and clear sight. You already have the strength to push back, but you must stand and use it. You must admit that a real struggle is taking place. The weight you carry is not small and should not be treated as such. You were not shaped just to endure and get by. You were shaped to resist pressure, to rise, and to remain bright even when surrounded by shadow. This begins with understanding that the pressure against your soul exists because your life carries weight and influence. This conflict is not imagined. The load has felt heavy because it is directed. Life has pressed you harder than it seems to press others, and the pressure often arrives in waves without pause. One hit follows another, each aiming to wear you down completely. This is not oversensitivity or false thinking. It is perception. What you sense is real because what lives within you is real. The strain increased because what you hold matters. Opposition does not waste effort on what is empty or harmless. Force is aimed at what threatens false control and hollow systems. That is why the pressure feels constant. Even without clear awareness, you carry a spark that disrupts darkness. There is a voice within you meant to free others when it is fully used, a presence that will break limits when it grows strong. A quiet glow exists in you even when you cannot see it yourself. That glow was recognized long before now. Before your first breath, your life was already known, and so was its impact. This is why opposition showed up so early in your life. This is why you faced pressures and wounds that many never encounter. There was something growing inside you that needed to be stopped before it could fully rise, yet it was never erased. You remain. Your heart still moves, your mind still senses, your faith still flickers even when it feels faint. You were not marked because you were broken, but because you were nearing awareness. That nearness was noticed. A shift has begun. Your awareness is sharpening, your inner hunger is stirring, your thoughts are no longer accepting everything as normal or harmless. This change creates fear in what depends on control. When you begin to recognize who you are, false power loses its grip. That is why harm came through people, cutting words, being pushed aside, being left, being measured against others. These were tools meant to fracture your sense of value. The pressure itself exposes the truth. You are not attacked for being fragile. You are pressed because you carry weight. There is a steady light in you that remains even during your lowest moments. There is something within you that will become a response to the needs of others. The goal was never only to make you quit, but to keep you from discovery. Once that discovery happens, confusion gives way to direction. What felt like loss turns into movement. You were shaped for a role, whether or not it was ever named for you. Even if no one spoke it clearly, it exists. Your formation was intentional. Nothing about you was random or wasted. Your traits, your nature, your depth, your sensitivity, and even your pain all serve a function. That is why each part was challenged. Sensitivity was labeled weakness to make you deny it, yet it is strength. Your past was framed as disqualifying to keep you small, yet it is the source of your strength. The aim is to make you feel isolated, yet the truth is that you are in a fight. Those who are in a fight are not required to grasp every detail. They are required to stand firm and not step back. Standing firm sets what was promised into motion. and staying steady uncovers what was hidden. Presence has never left you. You have carried weight that would have crushed many, and this was not random. It was shaping. You were formed even when you believed you were damaged. You were trained even when you felt unseen. You were placed with care even when it seemed like nothing was moving. Nothing was wasted. No strike was ignored. No tear fell without being seen. Every moment had been noted, and every piece will be turned into meaning and honor. Your strength is greater than you think because it is not self-made. It is supplied. Strength holds you up on hard days. Protection stands when others walk away. Direction speaks when all else goes quiet. This is why distraction is used against you, because when that inner voice is heard clearly, everything shifts. Trust in what is being said now, and something within you will begin to rise, something that cannot stay hidden. Do not question what lives inside you. Do not treat lightly what was placed there with care. Abilities that have been still will begin to stir. Words you once kept locked away will become tools for others. The wounds you carry will give you the right to restore. Pain will turn into a path forward. What once marked you will now speak for you. What felt heavy will become useful. You were not chosen for flawlessness. You were chosen for openness. Even with marks and scars, there is living belief within you. There is a hope that refuses to stop. That is enough for movement to begin. Where belief exists, action follows. Where honesty lives, direction is given. And now, this truth stands clear. The pressure you face confirms the reason you exist. This message exists for those who are facing pressure without knowing why it follows them. Nothing was missed. Every moment, every quiet pause, every tear wiped away in secret has been kept in memory. The time you close yourself off to cry without sound, worried someone might hear, was seen clearly. You stood in front of the mirror trying to stay composed, telling yourself it was temporary, that it would fade, while something inside you was cracking apart without notice from anyone else. No one pressed you to speak. No one looked close enough to hear what your heart was saying. Still, the awareness remained. Presence stayed. In that closed space, sitting low, arms wrapped tight, struggling just to breathe through a pain that had no name, you were not abandoned. Even when everything felt like it was breaking down at once, you were covered. That unseen closeness held you steady. That is why you rose again the next day despite having no strength left. The quiet resolve that carried you forward was not empty will. Courage was placed inside you. You carried strength for far too long on your own. You kept everything contained. You showed others a version of yourself that seemed fine, healed, untouched. Yet when the noise stopped, when messages did not come, when motion slowed, your inner voice finally broke free. You believed no one could reach the depth of what you felt, that no one could touch the loneliness you lived with. But you were never alone in that dark stillness. There was company beside you, listening beyond words. You held your image together for as long as you could, and for a time it worked. Then weariness set in, because you were not designed to carry such weight by yourself. You were formed for connection, and the heaviness you felt was more than emotion. It came from carrying too much for too long. This was known. Your body showed the strain before your thoughts gave in. Your eyes dulled. Your voice lost its steadiness. None of it went unseen. Even when you believed no one saw you, every moment was seen. That restless night when your body would not settle and your thoughts kept accusing you, presence did not leave. That morning when you faced your reflection and wished you could fade away, presence did not leave. That instant when tears pressed hard during a simple talk and you forced them back so you would not break, presence did not leave. You cannot measure how deeply you were regarded, how attention stayed fixed on you, how care leaned toward you even when distance felt real. Nothing was hidden. Nearness showed itself in small ways you could not name. In the calm that suddenly covered you without reason. In the embrace that arrived at the right second. In words spoken by another that met the need you never voiced. Sound, people, quiet moments were all used to say the same thing. You were not alone. Pain and exhaustion made you guard your heart, so you called it chance. It was not chance. It was care. It was support. It was love reaching you. Your worth was never in question, not when you felt unseen, unimportant, or easily replaced. Not when others passed you by, pulled you close for a time, then let you slip away. Memory never failed. Attention never drifted. Care never weakened. Time was taken. Space was shared. Your pain was joined, because every tear you shed mattered and still matters. None were wasted or ignored. Even that moment when you felt ready to quit, when hurt felt heavier than hope, you were not abandoned. You thought belief was gone, but it was pressure trying to blur truth. Still, you moved forward. That movement was not your own doing. Support held you up. Your path has been heavy, and that is known. Yet nothing you face was face alone. In pain, closeness remained. In fear, protection stood firm. In collapse, strength lifted you. Destruction was never allowed, even when you withdrew, because love that lasts does not depend on mood, strength, or condition. Remain close, protect, lift. This recall is brought to you not to accuse or expose, but to restore and mend. So you can know this clearly. You were seen. You were cared for. You were never alone, and presence has not left. Even when no one named your pain, it was known. Even when your effort went unseen, it was counted. Even when no one held you the way you needed, comfort is offered now. You were never erased, never fragile, never an error. You belong, you matter, you hold great value. Every hidden tear you shed was turned into a plea spoken for you. Not one was wasted. Each one stirred movement on your behalf because your sorrow was never dismissed. It was received as prayer. This stands as a witness for the day you felt completely alone. There were moments when emptiness filled everything, when silence felt cold and endless. You reached out, searched, wept, and all that answered was quiet, a quiet that made you believe you had been left behind. That lack of reply felt like proof of distance, but understand this now, quiet never meant absence. Stillness never meant lack of care. Timing does not follow human clocks, and real work often begins where sight cannot reach. You learn to measure closeness by sound, by feeling, by fast response, and when those were missing, you assumed separation. But action was never for display. It was for love. Love remains without noise. It holds even when it is not felt. It shields even when you believe you stand uncovered. While you wrestled inside, trying to understand why nothing shifted, work was already happening. While you questioned unanswered prayers, change was forming beyond view. Hearts were being aligned, patterns broken, barriers removed, moments adjusted, because what is meant for you is not shallow. It is rooted, and all rooted things require time. Be certain of this. Every cry reached its mark, every broken breath was gathered, every tear was seen. Even though nothing around you seemed to shift, something real was taking place within you. There was inner movement, There was release. There was change taking root. Before anything outside could be altered, the work had to begin inside, because your heart carried wounds, your inner strength was drained, your sight was blurred, and if what was promised had come too soon, you would not have been able to carry it. The quiet was not neglect. It was care. The stillness was not rejection. It was protection. Silence became the space where growth was formed. Delay became the ground where lasting answers were prepared. The time that felt like distance was the time of closest attention. Growth was happening through pain. Life was rising even when everything felt dry. You kept moving even when feeling nothing at all. This mattered deeply. While words stopped, trust was being clean. While waiting without signs, inner sight was being restored. While walking without direction, inner strength was being built. The quiet was never meant to measure you. It was meant to shape you. It was preparation for more than you expected, so that when what was meant for you arrived, you would know it did not stand apart from me, but flowed from shared ground. Presence never depends on feeling. Existence does not pause. There is no wavering here, no true distance where you are concerned. Protection surrounds you even in rest. Covering remains even when you pull away. Guidance continues even when ignored, because love does not retreat. Patience does not weaken. Faithfulness does not fade. During the time when everything felt frozen, with no path, no meaning, no light ahead, that was the place of greatest care. Harm was held back. Wrong paths were closed. Hidden dangers were removed. When your own strength failed and belief collapsed, intercession took its place. Movement continued even without your effort. Silence was never empty. It was shared. Presence did not leave the dark. Shelter stood firm in the storm. You were sustained in dry places, and every time you believed there was no exit, a path was already being prepared beyond your sight. Nothing was random. Yet everything was not shown to you at once, because early sight can give birth to fear. The goal was never to overwhelm you, but to shape how you trust. You were being taught to live by belief, not by what your eyes report, to rest in truth, not in emotion, to rely on essence even when proof is missing. Strong belief is not built on feeling good. It is built on knowing what remains true when feeling fades. That is what was being formed in you. A belief that does not collapse under pain. A belief that does not disappear when nothing responds. A belief that remains steady in long quiet seasons. And now you are here. You did not stop. You did not quit. You did not fully understand. You did not fully see. Yet you continued forward. That matters. It shows that something solid took root in you. You learned that quiet does not mean ending. It means shifting. You learn that lack of noise is not lack of presence. You learn that when everything feels still, unseen work is active, and within that unseen movement, the deepest changes are formed. Remain steady. Remain patient. What is being built in quiet will exceed your own expectations. Do not resent the stillness. Respect it, because those who honor quiet are able to carry fulfillment without breaking. Nothing was postponed. Preparation was taking place. The season of gathering is closer than it appears. But before it arrives, this truth must be clear. Absence never happened. Only silence did. You were held where sight could not reach. There is also something tender you have carried quietly. A person you love deeply, who left this world before you, leaving a space no one else could fill. A bond did not end. Love was not erased by death. Time did not undo it. What you shared still lives before me. That is why it is revealed now that care rises for you beyond this world. This love does not guide your future and does not hold authority over your path. Only I do. Yet the love they carried for you remains as a living memory, like a lasting scent, present even when the face is no longer seen. And love found a voice. That love reached upward and spoke clearly. It stood before me and carried your name. It asked that you not be lost, that pain would not pull you away from your true self. That request was heard. What you have felt recently did not appear without cause. The unrest, the pull inside, the quiet desire to return to a place where life felt whole again all came from allowance, not accident. Your inner being was stirred on purpose. Your heart was allowed to sense a gentle signal, not to unsettle you, but to remind you that reality is deeper than what first appears. As these words reach you, something unseen is already in motion around you. It is a movement shaped by lasting love, careful guidance, and a promise that remains alive. The one who left a deep mark on your life did not pass without meaning. Their time here was complete, but their effect did not fade. Every memory was kept. Every tear you cried in grief was seen and held. Presence stayed with you when comfort from others could not reach. When life moved forward and you remained in that hollow space, asking why, replaying moments, wishing outcomes had been different, you were not judged. Closeness increased. You felt what was missing, but you did not notice what stayed. Know this now. When the world grew distant and cold, heaven came nearer. Love that is lived under my light does not end with death. It changes form. It rises. It stands before me as something lasting. That love became a seed that took root. That seed opened a new season in your life. What that person saw in you, even when you could not see it yourself, reflected what I had already placed inside you. They believed because truth had already been revealed to them. They stood up for you, held you close, guided you, and guarded you as best they could. And though they are no longer seen with the eyes, the care around you remains. This is not imagined. It is real presence. This is protection that works beyond sight yet can still be felt. You were not left behind, not by me, and not by those who loved you. Some bonds were guarded by my own hand. Some connections do not end with time and remain alive beyond this world. Even though life tried to harden you, this memory still breaks through because it reaches a place you tried to seal shut. It touches the tender part you hid to avoid more pain. Today that place is met with care. Today I enter that deep and neglected space within you. Your longing is known. The weight you feel in your chest when their memory rises is seen. The quiet wondering you carried is answered with peace. They are at rest. And even in rest, what was shared with you continues to exist beyond time. Through this love, your life was brought before me not as blame, but as a plea formed from devotion. That plea was received. That is why this moment comes now, to lift you, to stir you, to draw you back, because some things only unfold when you rise. What comes next is linked to how you respond. Some paths will only open when you choose to move forward, not by denying what was, but by honoring it. Honor it through healing. Honor it through growth. Honor it through the story you now carry. What heaven records is not built from speech but from lasting love. That love is now stirring something within you. The memory that once wounded you begins to bring comfort. The hollow space that once consumed you begins to fill with meaning. What felt like an ending was in truth a crossing point, a seed, a tool that led you here. You are no longer meant to live trying to erase the past. You are meant to remember with direction. What left also prepared the way. What ended here continued elsewhere. What once lived as longing now becomes a sacred force. Heaven does not forget sincere love, and that love lifted your name. You arrived here with purpose. This moment was not given to dull the pain, but to awaken healing. To say this clearly, your loss was seen, and your tears were known. I sensed your inner voice asking if it was ever noticed, and today the answer is clear. It was, because something within you is still meant to grow. That growth has already begun, fed by tears you once believed had no value. In the moment you lay awake, eyes fixed on the ceiling, unable to form a thought or a sentence, presence did not leave. When you believed you had run out of words, that you had prayed, asked, and cried until nothing remained, listening continued. Prayer has never been measured by skill or structure. Perfect phrases are not required. What matters is what rises from the core. And within you there was a quiet cry that reached heaven with great force. Even when you only breathed out a name, thinking it would change nothing, that was the very moment movement began. You did not notice it then. There was no quick answer, no instant calm, no sudden relief. Still, the shift started. When belief speaks, even when strength is gone, unseen realms respond. Every sound you made through tears, through weariness, through silence was heard. More than that, it was understood beyond words. You often believed an answer depended on saying things the right way, with the right tone, but response is drawn to surrender, not performance. And what you offered was real. It was honest. At times it was desperate, but it was true. Truth is honored here. Those who come broken, unsure, confused, even doubting, are still received. Even when your thoughts barely formed the words asking if anyone was still there, that whisper was heard. The reply did not come as you expected or wanted, but it came with depth, timing, and care. You were not left speaking into emptiness. The response was simply shaped with purpose. While it felt like silence, preparation was already underway for what begins to unfold now. You tried many times to convince yourself that continuing to pray made no sense, because time kept moving and nothing appeared to change. What you could not see was that while you waited, strength was being formed within you. Each time you chose to speak my name, even with effort, it showed that belief was still alive. That belief did not need to be large to matter. What mattered was that it was real. What reached me was not force but honesty. Your heart stayed open even while doubt pressed in. When you asked for help in a low voice, when tears carried the words "I can't keep going," others might have called it weakness. It was not. It was truth. And truth offered at the edge of endurance is devotion. That was the place where you were found. Not in control, not in strength, but in weariness. And it is there that presence draws closest, because refuge exists for the worn down, shelter exists for the wounded, and help is near when no other support remains.